So he's going to take us on a roller coaster when it comes to technology. He's a best-selling author. My favorite book of him is The Conversation Manager. It won many awards. Many, it's huge, trust me. And he travels all around the world to explain to companies what these digital trends mean and what the impact will be on the relationship that you have with your customer. So please fasten your seatbelt, because the next 30 minutes are for Steven van Belleghem. Woohoo! That's him. Have fun, guys.
Thank you and good morning. Wow, what an honor to kick off this wonderful event here. And I brought the story about customers the day after tomorrow. And you know, I think you guys will agree with me that if you look at how the world is evolving today, we're like entering this new phase of digital. And I think if you look at 2007, those are like the days that we kicked off with mobile and we kicked off with social. And it was really impressive to see how behavior of customers is changing and how people use all these technologies in a different way. I see the world as some sort of a safari, and this is what you see a lot. You see people playing with their phones. It's only when you see the full picture that you really understand the flip in focus that we just had. And it's fun. I think if you look at consumers, we can conclude that basically we're completely adapted to this new phase. I mean, you see all kind of crazy stuff. If you go to Washington, D.C., you have 2 lanes on the curb, one for people with phones, one for people without. We have new traffic signs. We have new traffic lights, so that we don't end up underneath a car while we're texting. And it's fun because we always think that we're finished with adapting ourselves. And when we installed all these traffic signs, right at that moment when we were finished, that was the moment that Pikachu came back and we had to start all over again. And we all discovered the dangers of WhatsApping and walking, of course. So that's where we are today. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what's coming next. And in my opinion, what 2007 was for mobile is 2017 for artificial intelligence. New techniques that will allow us to create new services for customers. Most companies here are making that flip as we speak. Most companies in this room are trying to figure out how they can make that flip from a mobile-first mindset to an artificial intelligence-first mindset. My fear is always that if we come together on a beautiful day like this and we get overexcited by robots and AI and all those things, that we get over-focused on technology. I think at the end of the day, new technologies are not the core. It's about creating new benefits for customers. And you know, I think you'll all agree with me that we can still imagine some companies that can still grow in the field of customer experience. I just want to show you a random example. United Airlines. I'm a big fan of United Airlines. I fly about 150 times a year, but I never fly with United. But I like them because every year they do funny stuff that I can use in my presentations. And I would like to thank them for that and encourage them to continue doing crazy stuff all the time. So one of their highlights was when this happened. A few months ago, there was this passenger sitting on the wrong seat, and in their own United Airlines style, they asked that passenger to leave that seat. You can see that happening right here. Now, what is important is that you know the marketing slogan of United. The marketing slogan is, "We are the friendly smile in the sky." This here is the friendly smile in the sky in real life. So what you need to do on a day like that is you need to go to social media and check out how customers deal with this, because then customers say, smile in the sky is maybe not the best slogan for these guys. Let's invent some new ones. And then they come up with stuff like, United means we treat you like we treat your luggage. That's a pretty good one. Or this one, not enough seating, prepare for a beating. And my favorite one is this one here. If you cannot beat your competitor, just beat your customer. So, I mean, thank God for United Airlines. Just don't fly with them, but they're too fun not to allow them here to be in our world. But it's about customers. And you know, this here is my favorite quote of Larry Page, the founder of Google. He says, guys, how is it possible? We've got SpaceX, they launch rockets, then they release satellites, then that rocket comes back to Earth and it lands on some sort of a floating device in the middle of the ocean. We can do this as humans. But making a toaster that does not burn toast, that seems to be incredibly hard. And make no mistake, today we have what they call smart toasters. And a smart toaster sends you a WhatsApp message the moment when your toast is ready. That's in case you have forgotten what happened with your piece of bread in those 30 seconds. They think, oh, thank God I'm getting a text message here. But still, burn toast. This, my friends, is what they call a perfect example of the Internet of stupid things. We can do it with technology, but it adds zero value to humans. We have to create toasters that don't burn toast. And I think if you look at phase 3 of digital, that the truth is that for organizations, for companies, life will become more complex. And this is something that I want to focus on this morning, how competition is changing, how competitive dynamics are changing. Look, this is what they taught us 20 years ago. When you were in business, they said you need to excel in one thing. And then you can be average in all the others. A bunch of 6s, but 1 10, and then you win. Imagine retail. You're the best in service, or you're the cheapest one, or you have the nicest store experience. Then you win. That doesn't work anymore because that bar of customer expectations did this, bam, all the way up. So if you want to win, this is how you play. This is also explaining why a lot of retailers are suffering these days because they need more resources to be successful these days. And this is completely thanks to companies like Amazon, like Booking.com, many of those successful technology companies that are really good in price, that are really good in offering, that make location irrelevant and are above average in terms of service. Because of them, our expectations have increased rapidly. And this means the end of an old marketing principle. That idea of the unique selling proposition is completely gone. This could be the big paradox in phase 3, that for you, organizations, life is becoming more complex. For me, as your customer, life should be easier than ever before. We have a beautiful room here, 3,500 people, really impressive to see it from up here. Different companies, different countries, different organizations, but I believe there's one common ground among all your customers. Just think about this, very simple question. What is the scarcest resource that your customers have these days? Time. Time. Then second question is, in your organization, how laser focused are you on your customer time management? What are you doing to save out time of your customers? And the cool thing is, in this world of AI and new technologies, we can actually play in this field. We can create faster than real-time services. We can become hyper-personalized, and we can create the most convenient interfaces the world has ever seen. The bad news of the day, the big platforms in the world are the superheroes in this field. They are the kings of the world. And I'm always really impressed. I'm a big fan of technology companies. We spend a lot of time in the US and China to look at what's happening. And Tencent is one of the top 2 technology companies in China. I'm a huge fan of them. They're mainly famous because they are the owner of WeChat. Most of their money is coming from gaming, but they're mainly famous because of WeChat. I assume a lot of you know WeChat. Maybe some of you still call WeChat the Facebook or the WhatsApp of China. I call that Western arrogance. These guys are light years ahead of what we have. And of course, they have 1 billion users, but it's a transactional platform. I mean, any kind of business that you guys are in China, it's being held on WeChat. Financials are being managed on WeChat, sales, communication. Chinese people don't have email addresses anymore on their business card. They have a QR code to start communicating on WeChat. The only reason why Chinese people need email is to communicate with people from the old world. Yeah? It's like the operating system of China. If you have a flat battery with your phone, it's the end of your day. You cannot take taxis anymore, no public transportation. It's going to be a long walk home. And sometimes people think I'm exaggerating, but I have this really embarrassing anecdote. I was in Shenzhen a year and a half ago, and we had a half day off, and we went to a shopping mall, and we saw a Häagen-Dazs store. And we said, we're going to go in, get ourselves some ice cream. So me and my friend. And we waited in line, ordered 2 ice creams, and I said to my friend, I will pay. So I grabbed my wallet, I took my credit card, gave my credit card to that Chinese lady, and she looked at me as she would buy ice cream here in Amsterdam and bring 2 goats to pay. Huh? That's the kind of look that she gave me. And she said, credit cards, we don't do that anymore. So she tried, but it didn't work. And I said, but how can I pay? My friend said, no worries, I have cash money with me. So he takes out his wallet, takes out paper money, gives that to that Chinese lady, and at that moment what we see is really embarrassing because the Chinese people that are waiting in line behind us, they are starting to take pictures of us. That, my friends, is a very humbling moment. Huh? But that was a year and a half ago. This year we went back and we told our group, we said, credit cards doesn't work, bring cash. Of course, if we tell them, they listen, they bring cash. So they went shopping, went to the Nike store in Shanghai, grabbed all kind of stuff from the shelves, went to the counter to pay, took their credit card. People said, yeah, we don't do credit card. They said, oh, we know. Stephen told us. We have cash money with us, so pile of cash. And those people in the Nike store said, yeah, but we don't do cash anymore either. Yeah, okay, but how can we pay then? Oh, with Alipay or WeChat. Yes, but that doesn't work on European or US phones. We're so sorry for you. Very humbling experiences. If you still think I'm exaggerating, because we cannot pay anymore as Western people in China, these are homeless people in the streets of Shanghai. They all have their QR code to accept mobile payments. They transformed themselves better to the mobile age than some companies here in the room today. So that is the bad news. It stops here. That's the end of the bad news. The good news that I'm meeting more and more companies like the beautiful names we have here in the room that are starting to play with these customer benefits. One of my favorites is McDonald's. Maybe they're here, I don't know. But McDonald's is a fantastic company. It's 50 years old and basically became successful by doing the exact same thing 50 years in a row all over the globe. Now, they installed these kiosks. I'm sure you all saw it. May seem like a small transformation to you. For them, the biggest transformation in their entire history. But it's only the beginning, because now they want to go to the next level. They're dreaming about personalized burgers. So if you go to the McDonald's here in Amsterdam and you tell them, oh, I prefer not to have cheese on my Big Mac because I don't like cheese on it, and next week you're in Copenhagen, then that restaurant in Copenhagen should be able to recognize you so that you don't get cheese without asking or repeating yourself. That's the next step. McDonald's and e-commerce, really interesting story, because 4 years ago in 2014, McDonald's was thinking, hey, e-commerce, that doesn't work for us, right? Because it doesn't match with our processes and the whole thing. Now, they've done a test in 2016, and that test resulted in $1 billion in additional revenues. I don't know how your management team would look at a test that brings $1 billion. But at McDonald's, they said, yeah, that was a good test. Huh? So let's continue with that. So they rolled out the whole Mac delivery thing all over the place. Key countries were Belgium and Holland, by the way. Huge success, huge success. They did it in such a smart way. They did the logistics with Uber Eats. The food creation, of course, was their specialty. And they're getting rewarded by the market. They have fantastic results. And I think the secret of their success is that they are focusing on the customer value creation and not on technology. And I think that is the most important thing to remember. This is my open invitation to everyone in this room. At a certain moment, have the guts to dream about what is possible in creating the best possible customer experience, and then reverse engineer it back to today. There are two ways to build your tomorrow. All of you are working very hard to have a successful tomorrow. There are two ways to do it. You can take what you have and improve it incrementally, or you can dare to dream about the possibilities of the future, reverse engineer it, and start piloting today. And invest in your own customer experience day after tomorrow. This is a real fun process, but you feel that it's hard. And I want to focus on this. There are many things that we can talk about when it's about customer day after tomorrow. I would like to talk with you guys about new competitive dynamics that you're starting to see in markets. This is a scary thing for many entrepreneurs. You feel that it's becoming a winner takes all. We all know the big technology companies in the East and the West, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent. And it feels like these guys are magnets for users, magnets for talent, magnets for money. Sometimes it feels unfair to compete with them. But the scary thing is that competition is changing. In the past, you were competing inside of a market to take some market share of that market. These companies compete for a market. They don't want to have a small piece of the cake. They want to have the cake and maybe leave some crumbs for someone else. And this is a new style of competition. And you're starting to feel that it's some sort of new brand hierarchy. that you have a handful of very powerful dominant players and then all the others. And then the question is, how do you compete on that B level if you're part of the others? And you feel that it's becoming a new style of competition. Things are changing. And I just want to take one example here. I want to talk about Amazon for a few minutes. I'm sure you all remember that on June 17 last year, June 17, 2017, Amazon acquired Whole Foods, one of the more premium retailers, or the premium retailer in the US. And they paid $13 billion for that, right? It was interesting to see that same day how the stock market reacted. All big competitors of Whole Foods, they lost between 5 and 15% of their value. Interesting. At the same moment, the Amazon stock went up with 3%. Back then, Amazon was worth 500 billion. Today it's twice as much. But back then, they were worth 500 billion. If your stock increases with 3%, it's about 15 billion additional value. Must have been an interesting day for Jeff Bezos. You spent 13 billion, and the market virtually gives you 15 billion back. It's like they're saying, here, Jeff, 2 billion for the party tonight. That's like the feeling that you have when you see this. But then it became August 28th, the first day that Amazon actually was the owner of Whole Foods. And what was the first thing they did? Bam! Price reduction, minus 30, minus 43% in food products. Just imagine that one day Amazon acquires your direct competitor, and the first thing they do is bam! Price reduction. That's like dropping a bomb in that market. And you instantly saw this. Kruger, bam, bam. Ahold, bam, bam. Ahold lost about 35% of their value in 3 months' time. Did they do anything wrong? No. Different perspective of the market. Maybe we can blame them just one small thing. Maybe this company, but many others, weren't serious enough about the day after tomorrow in their industry, and they got surprised that suddenly they woke up and you had new dynamics in the market. And I have a shocking video. I have to warn you guys. I'm sorry that I have to show it, but the next video is really shocking. You're going to see two big retailers. We're going to take Jumbo and Albert Heijn because we're in Holland here. Two big retailers fighting over 0.5% market share. So be ready for this shocking image that you have here. So two retailers, top one is Jumbo, bottom one is Albert Heijn, fighting over 0.5% market share. So 3+1 promotion to win some market share by Jumbo. Albert Heijn says, okay, we're going to copy that. Also market share back. Then we'll do a 2+1 promotion. And look in the eyes of Albert Heijn, panicking. What do we need to do? Oh, we're going for a 1+1 promotion, and yes, we got our market share back. This video continues now for another 12 minutes. Competition in the retail world before June 17. Now pay close attention because Amazon is about to enter the market. There is Amazon and they're coming at high pace. There they are and bam! Amazon just joined the party. It's always a big entrance that they make. Now I was in New York 4 weeks after the acquisition of Whole Foods and Amazon, and we went to Amazon and Whole Foods. It was amazing to see how Whole Foods was completely Amazonized. Everywhere you looked, you saw the price reductions. It was like they've been working together for years. You had the price reductions, you had the technology corners that were popping up like mushrooms. It was really scary to see. But the most impressive part is linked to the 365 product range of Whole Foods. This is the private label of Whole Foods. And it took Amazon just 4 weeks to integrate this product range in all their platforms, on the site, in the app, through voice. It took them 4 weeks. I'm sure there's some companies in this room that have done big acquisitions. I don't know if any of you ever felt that 4 weeks after the acquisition, you had such an impact to the market. I think this is unseen. This is a speed and a form of aggression that is new to the market. The only thing we can hope is that, like, behind the scenes, that they will have a lot of issues, because otherwise it's not fair anymore if this is the way that it works. Maybe some of you are thinking, oh, thank God I'm not in that market. But there's no such thing as not being in the market of technology companies. because they set the bar for your customers. The US is Amazonized. Almost everyone in the US is using Amazon. It is the most successful company, it has the most loyal customers, and everyone is comparing them with them. That's the situation. Now the question is for you guys, how do you deal with that? Because it brings some sort of a devil's dilemma. What is your strategy in this world? Are you going to work together with technology companies? Are you going to fight back? Or are you just going to try to keep your own brand going? I don't know. But it's on the boardroom table of many of your organizations. I like the full force fighting back. There's some interesting battles going on. Disney versus Netflix, very interesting. Disney canceled its subscription with Netflix. No more Disney content in 2019. Then Disney acquires Fox for a whole bunch of $1 billion. They become the biggest content owner of the world. And then they announce that they will start with their own streaming service as from 2019. Interesting battle. Who will win? Disney, great brand, great IP, no distribution to customers with that content. Netflix, great brand, great content, no IP, but distribution to like 150 million people around the world. I don't know who will win, but you see a lot of chips on that roulette table. These are big bets. The same thing can be said about the car industry. Look at how German car manufacturers are fighting against some of the technology companies. And new dynamics. BMW, Audi, Mercedes bought Nokia Maps together. Big competitors buy Nokia Maps together. Why? Because they want to be independent from Google and Apple in a world of driverless cars. Competitors that are starting to work together. Then the question, which AI will be used in cars? Toyota is saying, we're going to use Alexa. At Mercedes, they're saying, those guys at Toyota, they're completely crazy because then you give away the data of your car to a big competitor. Don't do that. So Mercedes is installing its own AI assistant in its cars. Like the new Mercedes A and the new Vito, they have an own virtual assistant. This is an interesting battle. Many technology companies that were working aside of the technology of the car industry, they were thinking like, okay, car manufacturers will never work together with big technology companies because of the reason of sharing data with them. But that changed last week when Renault and Mitsubishi, they announced that they would work together with Google for their navigation and Android and all kind of services. Instantly, you see how that affects other players in the market. TomTom, maybe the end of TomTom, I don't know. But suddenly, they are less competitive because car manufacturers decide to open up for technology companies. New competitive dynamics. BMW and Mercedes that will work together in car sharing services to win from Uber or to make a stand. Big competitors that become friends. It's frenemies these days. It's not one or the other. The truth is, full force attacks is something that you don't see that often. For most companies, this is a devil's dilemma, where you choose between working together and at the same time fighting back. And the truth is, for most companies, it's not even a choice. You have to do both. But it sometimes feels scary, because you know that if you work together with Amazon and you have an interesting product, that they may start to copy your product. But there may be a big opportunity. I see an interesting point that we're at. If you look at the news of the last few months, there's some change in perception towards some of the big technology companies. We had the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica thing. We had the introduction of GDPR, a lot of discussions. And I think that the challenge for technology companies will be to reshift the focus a little bit. Today, they're really focused on world domination, and that's good. And they're very successful in that. I love the way that they do that. But you feel how that's also changing into becoming trusted gatekeepers, that we will have to trust them. Let's talk about Alexa for a few minutes. I'm sure some of you have it. Some of you have it ready to have it under the Christmas tree. Amazon Echo, the first computer without a keyboard. Amazon's dream is to install this device in all customers' household so that they can talk to the device and that they can, create a bigger lock-in into their system. Now, in my opinion, what Amazon is doing is the exact same thing as what Facebook did 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Facebook introduced the information filter in the world. We all know how this works. Facebook algorithm defines what you see and what you don't see, right? We know how that works. We know the benefits and we know the downsides of it. In a world of trusted gatekeepers, we want to trust Facebook that the information that we have is reliable. They're not there yet, but you feel, if you follow Mark Zuckerberg, how this is their key issue at this moment. Well, Amazon is installing the exact same thing, but it's not an information filter, it's a product filter. If Amazon installs this device in everyone's household and you start to order stuff through this device, they will define which products you see and which products you don't see. And today, people use it to set timers, listen to news, all kind of stuff. But also buy something on Amazon Prime, 1 out of 3. Which means that, if you know in the US, about 30 to 40% of the households have a smart speaker now. And 1 out of 3 is ordering stuff through voice, which means that about 10 to 15% of the US households is saying, Alexa, I need new toothpaste. And then Alexa brings new toothpaste. It's moving into a new phase of e-commerce. It's going to automated commerce, where you don't push a button anymore. It's a zero-button interface. For the people here that work for the Unilevers, the PepsiCos, the Danones, the Nestlés, this could fundamentally change the way that they will have to go to market. If I need cat food, I can say, Alexa, I need cat food. This is an Echo Show, one with a screen. Then Amazon says, oh, Steven, I would buy this kind of cat food. And maybe, you know, I will ask for a second solution or a second suggestion, and maybe a third one. But not more. It's like with Google. You don't go to the second screen. You trust them that the first screen is the most relevant for you. This is a product filter. Today, I go to the supermarket and I see 500 types of cat food. I don't need them, but you know, they're there. Here, I have a filter that knows me, knows the products, and is like a dating service that is doing a perfect matchmaking. But the consequence is digital shelf space is becoming a lot smaller than physical shelf space. And I like this. This is extremely cool. But it will only work if we trust Amazon that they will bring in the right product. If they are the trusted gatekeeper, then I will trust them. Question is, how do you deal with this? And this could be an opportunity in this battle of becoming, in this evolution of becoming a trusted gatekeeper. I think traditional companies can do a lot of stuff that companies like Amazon cannot, but we will have to combine a few things. I think if you need to be as obsessed with digital and convenience as the Amazons of this world, but we can add a human touch to it, and we can add local experience to that. And if you combine these three, you have a way to fight back. Because technology companies, they will not do that. They will be human-like, like the robot Sophia, and that will get better. It will be human-like, and it will be local via data. But this is what most of you can do. You can combine a very strong digital strategy, combine that with human touch and human leverage, and add local expertise to that. If you think, oh, that's great news, I'm good in the human and the local, it will not work if you're really good in digital. I just want to end with this. I want to come back to customer time management. Remember that we agreed that time is the most or the scarcest resource of our customers. There are two things that you can do with time. You can save time of customers, but you can also enhance time of customers. And companies like Disney or big hotel, 5-star hotel chains or Michelin star restaurants, they do not want to save time. They want to enhance time. Technology companies are really, really good in saving out time. Some are really good in combining. A local example here, Coolblue, is trying to do both. But think about Netflix. They have a fantastic interface. I love the skip intro button. That's my favorite button of Netflix. It's a really, really cool interface, but we also spent hours with Netflix, so it's saving time and enhancing time at the same time. But you feel dynamics in this field. Companies like Disney or top hotels, they are investing in saving time without losing their DNA of enhancing time. But if you go to a 5-star hotel, the check-in is not the moment that your time is enhanced, so they need to save out time there. Disney is investing in magic bands so you can go smoother in the park and pay easier, and so on. Question is, to all of you, open question, where is your company positioned? My fear is that I meet a lot of companies that are doing neither. They're not saving time and they're not enhancing time. They're just selling their stuff. And in this world of new competitive dynamics, it's really smart to consider how you can play with this scarce resource of time for your customers. It helps you to get ready for that day after tomorrow. And I hope that this helps you to see some of the dynamics, that this was a good start for you guys here on this wonderful event. And this is my goal, to motivate you to look into that, to help you understand how we look into this new phase, and really invite you to look at that day after tomorrow to define what you could do, how your company can become a trusted gatekeeper, how you can actually create a good digital experience and save time by doing so, but at the same time, your companies can enhance time by being good in that human part and in that local part. I mean, you can play with this. These are your building blocks to get ready for that day after tomorrow. And the most important thing is, technology is not the guiding star. Customer benefits are the guiding star. If we start with how can we create customer value and how can we play with that time philosophy, we can probably create the best possible customer experience that you have in your market. And I believe this is a way to get ready for that day after tomorrow. I hope this was a good start. If you want to see more of me, feel free to follow me on Instagram. And I hope you're going to have a wonderful next part of your day. And thank you so much for listening to my story. Thank you.